Hi, I'm Eve from the Philippines, and when I say I'm going to print my notes, I sometimes mean this, but more often I mean this. My schoolmates and teachers often joke that I'm a human printer, but I take my handwriting seriously. I write notes for everything, and I write, not type, unless absolutely physically impossible. I think that computer technology is a wonderful tool with infinite applications, but infinity is not all. Why should I deprive myself of the infinity in first or the infinity in second? 读万卷书不如行万里路. It's better to walk 10,000 miles than to read 10,000 books, or experience beats theory. Sure, whether I write something down or type it out, it ends up words on a page. But whereas typing is almost perfectly effortless, writing is demanding and laborious. It's an investment, an expression. At least for me, it's an experience. I'm forced to spend time with the information, first to digest it, then to organize it, then to put it in ink. Typing is much less tedious, much less personal and instructional. For instance, written mistakes and imperfections are practically permanent. They're physical reminders of what I tend to but shouldn't do again, glaringly absent from any manuscript that I type. I often think about and lament how future generations won't understand the struggle and beauty of the medium I so value and love. Then I think about how, perhaps in the same way, I don't understand the struggle and beauty of needing physical texts to learn things before there was the internet, which has reduced these once supreme repositories of knowledge to relics of a slower past. The internet is probably the greatest innovation in contemporary history. I've never known a world without it, and because of it, information is accessible more equitably and supernaturally than ever before. But it still is to say books what Goliath was to David. I didn't grow up needing books, but I did grow up reading them, and this has helped me realize that though certain technologies equip people with a staggering brute ability, this can't quite replace the finer skills developed in the use of others. For example, the setup of the internet encourages one to read a bit about many topics, whereas that of most books forces one to read much about one topic. In theory, this variety of tools should be a good thing, but good times often make weak men. It worries and once surprised me that many of my peers were never readers as I was, and that those younger than me likely never will be, that even I no longer read as much as I think I should, just because it's so easy not to. I, along with many, many other people, have grown so used to information being spoon fed to me that I find it difficult to comprehend and even just stay focused long enough to read heavier texts and retain more complex ideas. 水满则溢. Water flows in only to flow out, or too much of something defeats its purpose. I think that sometimes we're wasting the internet in that we don't care what flows in or what flows out, what's retained or what's lost, only that there is water in the basin. We've even gotten smaller basins and no longer feel the need to store as much at a time because there will always be more. Whenever we invent something new like the internet, our first instinct seems to be to replace rather than integrate, to ruin and forget our ability to function well without it in the name of moving fast and breaking things. I think that this aspect of the ethos is counterintuitive and it conflates innovation with progress. Something is not immediately a net positive because it is newer or faster or makes life easier. For instance, I find ChatGPT very concerning, not at all because I fear a robot takeover, but because whereas the internet allows you to offload knowledge, ChatGPT allows you to outsource thinking, and I think that it's pretty dangerous to raise a generation that can't think for itself the way we can't read books. To be clear, I don't believe that technology is making us dumber, but I do think that we could be smarter with how we put it to use. Consider calculators. We have to master how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide before we're even allowed to touch them at school. And because of that, we're able to appreciate and not just accept what they do, and more importantly, survive just fine without them, at least on a basic level. To use a calculator without understanding its functions would get the math done, but not teach us anything applicable elsewhere. I think that what we lack today is this resolve to control our collective reliance on technology. Maybe we still have it in us to do manual division or write essays, but if we break too much of the old too fast, who's to say that the next generation will? These days, people want to move fast and break things so that they can remake them, to demolish, then to rebuild in the name of progress. But I think that there's a truer progress in building up, in acknowledging what the previous still has to offer, and not moving on so hastily that we defeat the purpose of moving altogether. 欲速则不达. Haste makes waste. Those who just want speed don't succeed. So I think that we should set out to integrate and complement and not replace, to make certain that in our quest to make it so that we don't have to do certain things, we never actually end up not being able to do them. Let's approach all innovations like we did the calculator and make sure that we master skills before outsourcing them.